Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It's Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. We have a 5-game early baseball slate, like 12 o'clock Eastern lock. I think it's like 12:10 or something, but very early slate. And 5 teams that tilted everybody on Wednesday night. We get to go right back to them here, joined today by Krayton12, Christy Metzger. Christy, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I know it's just been a weird slate tonight, Stevie. Just like you said, all the teams that we kind of expected to do well, the Rangers and Houston, and just not putting up a lot of offense so far. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow since a lot of those games are on tomorrow's slate, too.
Yeah, I'm one of the worst slates of the year as far as
Yeah,
like scoring and like hitters being in good spots and not coming through in good spots. And I have a couple like good teams going, and it's just weird to me because it's like you shouldn't have these teams going. Like
I
you should
know.
have nothing going. Like as much Texas and as much Houston and as much Atlanta and stuff I had today. Um, just weird. I think Atlanta was on the early slate, right? I get them mixed up, but yeah, it was a weird slate. Just a weird slate overall. And I need some Texas bats in the ninth
Yes.
inning. That'd be great.
Yeah, I could use that.
Everybody's pitchers smashed because no hitter did anything.
That's just it. Yeah.
Yeah. So just one of those situations. But we got a 5-game early slate and a lot to talk about. And not a lot to talk about. I mean, it's just one of these like really interesting situations and slates and stuff. So we're gonna break it down and have some fun. If you haven't already, subscribe to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind YouTube page. Turn on those notifications. That way you know when we are live, usually around 10 o'clock Eastern, Sunday through Thursday night. So night before. All right, Christy, let's get started here. That early game, we got Colorado at Miami, 8 total in this game. Miami a 184 favorite. We got Peter Lambert going up against Edward Cabrera. Any interest here in Peter Lambert?
No, not at all. I'll have some interest definitely on the Miami side here, but no interest for me at all with him.
So I would typically say no, like super fast too. But the thing is, okay, if Peter Lambert, if we knew he was going to throw like 80 pitches in this game, I would play him. So like if there's something announced that like he's going to play or pitch, like if they give us like a pitch count and it's anything over like 75, I'll play him at 5,800 because pitching on the slate stinks. Miami's awful. They're bad. I mean, I watched the game and Dakota Hudson was dominating the Marlins, and you're just sitting there going, "What is happening?"
I know.
And like Lambert has a higher strikeout rate too. So yeah, I mean, overall, not a ton of interest here in Lambert. He's just not going to pitch deep enough into this game. He's going to go out there and throw 2 or 3 innings. And like I said, if we do get some type of like limit, like pitch count limit, if he's getting 75 plus pitches at 5,800, I'd play him. Edward Cabrera on the other side here. Any interest in Cabrera?
Yeah, I think you kind of mentioned too, it is kind of just a weird pitching slate in general. But yes, I do have interest in him just because, kind of talk about it, Colorado away from Coors Field, they just struggle like they did tonight. They struggled too. That really the only bat that I have interest on the Colorado side is Ryan McMahon. He's just been playing well, and he's a good one-off play, but I do have interest in Cabrera for sure.
Yeah, he might be my favorite pitcher on the slate. As bad as the Rockies are, he has good strikeout stuff. I mean, this is a guy that can put up 30 plus fantasy points. So it's in Miami. We know Cabrera has those like home road splits. I just absolutely love this spot for Cabrera. And again, like you're a little concerned about like his pitch count, but I mean, he got pulled last time because he was just really struggling against Washington. He threw over 90 pitches in his first 2 starts. So if he's pitching well in this Colorado game, I assume that he'll get the pitches that we're looking for. So I think this is a great spot for him. 31% K rate this year, 27% last year. Struggles with walks, but the Rockies have one of the lowest walk rates in baseball. So just overall, I mean, we watched Munoz do exactly what we kind of thought he had the upside to do, and I'm hoping that we get the same kind of upside here from Cabrera. Any interest in the Colorado bats?
No, like I mentioned, maybe McMahon as a one-off, but yeah, like you said, Cabrera just has elite numbers. And I was even noticing too, he has like 39% K rate against right-handed batters too. So yeah, he has some really good numbers there. So really for me, just McMahon as a one-off. Otherwise, no interest in the Rockies bats for me.
I feel like it's every day. Like that's the guy that you're like looking at is
Yeah,
Cabrera or
McMahon.
McMahon. So that's the only person I have a little interest. It's not even a lot of interest
Right.
here. So Lambert, the one thing that's good here is there's still not a ton of left-handed pitchers in the bullpen for Colorado. I think they have 3 now, maybe 4.
Yeah.
But still not like overly concerned. So I think you could still take some shots here. I think Miami is a mini stack.
Yep.
Again, Lambert's not great. You don't feel good about stacking Miami as a mini stack, but I think that this is a spot you could play them as a mini stack.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, some interest in, Chisholm, Luis Ariz, Jesus Sanchez, some of those guys there. So yeah, I don't mind going to some of those batters. And I mean, like a guy like Luis Ariz too, he just has a really low strikeout rate too. And if he can get on base and Chisholm gets on base, yeah, I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, De La Cruz as well. Like he is hitting right-handed pitching really well to start the
Yes.
season. So like the fact that he's going to hit second, low strikeout pitcher, which definitely gives him a bump. And then if they do end up bringing in, lefty, he's kind of safe in the platoon, pinch
Exactly.
hit risk, which he's not really a pinch hit risk anyway for me. But yeah, I mean, this is a spot I think you could take some shots on him.
Absolutely.
All right, we got New York Yankees at Baltimore, 9.5 total in this game. Yankees a 146 favorite. Carlos Rodon against Kyle Bradish. Bradish making his first start of the season. Any interest here in Carlos Rodon?
Yeah, I do. I mean, Baltimore, it is a weird pitching slate. Normally I mean, Baltimore has been playing so well, but I do have some interest in Rodon. Just because he has been playing pretty well. He's got a 22% K rate. He does struggle against left-handed batters, but yeah, I do have some interest in him.
Yeah, I'm on the fence. Like, if he's going to be low owned on a 5-game slate, sure, I think you could take some shots on him. But I think at the end of the day, like we still have to respect just how good Baltimore is. I mean, they have the third highest WRC plus against left-handed pitching this season. They've hit the most home runs against left-handed pitching this season, which is a fun fact. Do you know who's tied with Baltimore for most home runs against left-handed pitching this year?
That I don't know. No.
Oakland. They
Oakland?
wouldn't have been on your list, right?
Nope, they would
Oakland
not have
and
been on my list.
Oakland and Baltimore are tied with 14 home runs against left-handed pitching this season, which is just kind of funny when you think about it. But yeah, I mean, Rodon, like he struggles with command from time to time. Like he's shown some upside this season, so like I completely understand like taking some shots on him here. But like again, if he's gonna get ownership, he's like my least favorite guy ever to play chalky. If he's gonna be chalky, easy fade for me. Like full fade, like not even play a little bit. Like if he's gonna be chalky, I'll full fade him. And I'll load up on Baltimore bets, and we'll talk about them in just a second. Going to the other side, Kyle Bradish, like I said, making his first start of the season here. He threw 77 pitches in his last rehab start, so I would assume he's in like the 75 to 85 pitch range here. Any interest in Bradish against the Yankees?
Yeah, I'm just kind of worried about how many pitches he will get to against the Yankees. But like you said, if he does get up there into that 75, 80 range, again, just because there isn't anybody that stands out completely for pitching, I don't mind taking some shots on him for sure. He was definitely a pitcher that I liked a lot and played a lot last year. He had a 25.5% K rate last year. And so he does have some upside. And even with this Yankees offense, Soto and Judge and having some big bats in there, I certainly don't mind maybe taking some shots in tournaments, but I'd rather probably look at him when he's going to be able to be fully stretched out and, getting his full allotment of pitches.
Yeah, so my biggest concern with Bradish is it's his first start of the season and the pitch count. Kyle Bradish is a good pitcher. Like he's someone that he was above average last season, 25.5% Ks. I just worry like he really is not stretched out. Obviously, like the UCL sprain is huge injury for a pitcher. He wasn't sharp in like his last rehab start. Like he had some strikeouts, but he gave up some hits. He only threw 5 innings. He didn't throw as many strikes as you kind of want to see. Like when you see for what it's worth, when you see like a major league pitcher going and doing a rehab start, you want to see him throw like 65 to 75% strikes, because that's all they're trying to do is they're just trying to throw strikes and hit spots. They're not as worried about that, but it was his best rehab start. So like he has that going. Like his one before that wasn't great. I mean, his velocity is really close to where it was at. So I'm kind of on the fence on Bradish. Like, here's the thing. If Carlos Rodon is going to get some ownership today, I think Kyle Bradish is like just your pivot. Like, that's just your instant pivot in this range. Eovaldi and Cabrera, top two guys, not close, not overthinking that. Those two guys are in the best spots. Those are the two guys you're building around in cash games. But in tournaments, like, you don't necessarily want to build all your teams with those two guys. So I think, like, looking in this range, Rodon, Harrison, Bradish. If Rodon's chalky, it'd be Bradish or maybe Brown for me. And we'll talk about those guys in a second. But let's talk bats here for the Yankees. I mean, kind of going off of what we saw from Bradish last year. He's just good, right? Like overall, lefties and righties, he's good. Any interest here in the Yankees bats?
Not really. And yeah, you mentioned it. He was good last year. He had a low walk rate last year. I think, just because it is a small slate, if you're just hoping that he, doesn't get a lot of pitches and he's just not on, you could get Judge, Soto, Stanton, you could get a few of the bigger bats in there for the Yankees, but I'd probably more go on taking some shots maybe on the Bradish side and hoping that, he is going to be back to his last year's performance, and probably prefer that more than the Yankees bats on this slate.
All right. I don't have a ton of interest in the Yankees. If Bradish is chalky, I'll definitely stack the Yankees. Like, it's a 5-game slate, and I don't trust really any pitcher on the slate. Like, I mean, I think safest pitcher might be Nathan Eovaldi, but term safe in baseball right now is not the right word. But
yes,
I think overall, if you get a chalky pitcher on a 5-game slate like this, you can definitely play hitters against him. And like the Yankees have a ceiling. So,
yep, they do.
The Baltimore side, I like Baltimore in this spot. So like in a 20 entry max, like if I'm playing some Carlos Rodon, I'm still going to play some Baltimore bats. They've just been too good against left-handed pitching this year.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, they're just about every metric you look at, they're just absolutely doing great. They're leading home runs too, 45, I think they have on the year. So yeah, they're just from top to bottom, they just have such good talent. So yeah, definitely interest in Gunnar Henderson, Rushman, Colton Cowser, Ryan O'Hearn, Cedric Mullins. Yeah, I just, like you said, if Rodon is going to carry some ownership, definitely have some interest in getting some stacks. And in a 20 entry max, you definitely want to have exposure to Baltimore.
All right, moving on. We got the Cubs and the Mets in this one, 8.5 total. Mets a slight favorite here. Ben Brown against Adrian Hauser. Any interest here in Ben Brown?
Not really, although just with it being, the slate that it is, a small game slate too, I suppose everyone, you could make an argument for. Not really, though. Yeah, not someone that I'm really going on my way to target.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily hate the matchup against the Mets in Citi Field. I mean, one of the better pitchers ballparks in baseball. The question mark with Ben Brown is just like his pitch count. They've been very careful with him, innings limits, all that stuff. Like, if Ben Brown was throwing 100 pitches against the Mets and we knew he was going to throw 90 to 100 pitches, very interested. But you're just worried about like the pitch count and the ceiling. Like, we have a few guys on the slate that just have the ceiling. So like, I'm more likely to just kind of lock in those few guys with the ceiling than just take shots on guys that I don't think have like at least can score 20 points. And Brown's had some good starts this year where he hasn't scored 20. Again, don't necessarily hate the matchup. Just don't think he has a huge ceiling. I do think it's really weird that like the Mets are favored in this game.
They are. Yeah.
Like a fun fact for the morning grind game, I've already bet the Cubs in this game, like straight up.
It's good.
Because Adrian Houser is not good. Like I
No.
understand, like the Mets lineup is a little watered down, but Adrian Houser is not good. Like, why is he favored? The dude has a 12% K rate this year. Like, why is Adrian Houser favored against the Cubs?
Right.
I'm guessing you don't like Houser either.
No, not at all. In fact, I wrote down, I mean, if you look at, I like the Cubs. Yeah, just they make a great stack and they're pretty inexpensive too. I mean, you can get a lot of those guys for fairly cheap on DraftKings. So yeah, no interest for me.
It's just weird. It's just a weird like line. Like sometimes these lines and you're like, this should never work out. And like, but sometimes you're like, why is this line this way? And you just bet it and like take the chance. But yeah, I
Yes.
mean, I've already bet this line. So
I love it.
yeah, I just think it's weird. I just think it's weird. Um, if the line sinks that bad, I'm betting playing the Mets. There you go. I mean, there you go. Cubs bats. I mean, I'm on the Cubs bats. I hate the ballpark, but I like the Cubs bats. Like it's a 5-game slate, so I can roll out the ballpark a little bit. Like Hauser walks a ton of people. He gives up a ton of hard contact. He doesn't miss bets. Like I mean, I think overall this is just one of those spots where you're playing them, even though it's a crappy ballpark.
Yeah, absolutely. Nope, I think you have to. And yeah, I mean, I just think, looking at them, Hap, Bush, Morrell, Swanson, Horner, they're all just really reasonably priced. Mike Tauchman. So yeah, I like them. They're probably one of my favorite stacks as well.
Yeah, again, you just got to throw the ballpark out and just say, hey, it is what it is. But I mean, they're cheap on FanDuel too. Like they're cheap on DraftKings and FanDuel. Like I think the Cubs are definitely going to be a stack that I'm going to get to quite a bit today. I just don't believe in Adrian Houser at all. I don't think he's very
Right.
good.
No, he's not.
Any interest in the Mets here against Ben Brown?
Like we kind of talked about, yes, I don't have a ton of interest in Brown, but he could be playable too, depending on what your lineup looks like for a second pitcher. But yeah, if I'm not playing him, yeah, maybe you could get to, Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Lindor, who's been playing well. Maybe do a mini stack there, Pete Alonso, but not a ton of interest.
Again, if we knew Ben Brown was going to throw like 90 pitches in this game, I'd play him. I don't necessarily love the Mets in this spot. Like Ben Brown might actually be solid. Like, some of his advanced stuff is really good. He has a 23.5% K rate, 6.5% walk rate. He's limited to the ISO to 131. His WOBA's under 300. He's fly ball rates under 25%. Like a lot of the advanced stuff, he just gives up a lot of hard contact. He's just giving up hard contact on like line drives and ground balls. He is getting barreled a lot by righties. So Pete Alonso has to be like way up on your list today, as far as like potential plays. And then like JD Martinez, like he's gonna get it going. So I kind of like the power righties for the Mets today, and just kind of play maybe a little bit of Nimmo. Francisco Lindor left the game. Like I think it was like flu-like or something. Like it was illness. It wasn't injury. It was illness. I doubt he plays in this game, day game after a night game, and he left the game early with like an illness. They probably just tell him to stay in the hotel, or if in New York, they'll probably. I'm sure he has a house in New York, but I think this is a spot Lindor gets the day off, so the lineup might be overall a little bit weaker. So you're probably looking more mini stack or one-offs here for the Mets, and I think Alonso is like on the top of that list today. Kind of looking at like what Bruce Brown has done against like righties this year.
Yes.
All right. Giants and Red Sox, 9.5 total in this game. It's a straight up pick 'em. Kyle Harrison against Josh Winkowski. Any interest here in Harrison?
Yeah, I do have some interest in him. I think he can be a fine play. Yeah, he has a good K rate against left-handed batters. Pretty good overall K rate too, 22%. So yeah, I do have some interest.
Yeah, I think he has the upside to be okay in this spot. Just he's really good or really bad, and it depends on like how many lefties they leave in there. Like I don't know if they'll. Right. I mean, I'm assuming they'll leave Devers and Duran in there. I don't know if they'll like give Abreu a day off or give Valdez a day off, but yeah, I think overall, like it just kind of depends on the lineup, because if you get some of these lefties in there, you have to have interest in Harrison because he's striking out lefties at a huge clip this
Huge
year.
clip.
But his sample size against lefties is pretty small too. He's only faced like 32 of them this year. So like the sample size is kind of low. So it's like one of those things where I don't want to put too much weight on his strikeout rate against lefties.
Right.
This is one of those baseball scenarios. I'm going to play a little bit of Harrison probably, and I'm going to probably play a little bit of Red Sox because I could see this going either way.
Go either way. Yep.
Any interest here in Winchowski?
Not really. I mean, I guess I have a little bit. I guess I have a little bit of interest in everybody again because of the size of the slate. So yeah, I guess I don't mind him. Yeah, he's got a 22.4% K rate, 30% against right-handed batters. So yeah. And then you've got guys like Soler and Chapman that do strike out quite a bit too against right-handed pitching. So yeah, I have some interest.
Well, you shouldn't. Coming to you from a Red Sox fan, he's not stretched out. He's kind of probably going to go out and throw like 3 or 4 innings. I mean, I think
that's the one thing. That's the one thing. Yeah.
Like he could go out and throw 3 or 4 really good innings and maybe score you like 12 points, but he's 6,300. He's not 4K. So
he's not the cheapest. Yeah.
He's not stretched out. He's a good ground ball pitcher. He works out of the bullpen for the Red Sox. He is a guy that can go out there and eat up an inning really well, typically, and generate ground balls. I just don't expect him to pitch deep enough in this game. And I don't think they really want to stretch him out because Pivetta is getting close to being back. So I think like 50 or 60 pitches here from him and kind of using this as a bullpen game. And they kind of lucked out. Cutter Crawford got a pretty deep into the game. So their bullpen is pretty fresh. So I assume that they, have plenty of arms for this game with Crawford. I think he threw 7? Yeah, 7 innings. So getting 7 innings from Crawford tonight or last night, and then Criswell pitched, I think, 5 the day before. So the bullpen should be really solid. I don't think you want to play Winchowski today. Just more on pitch count than anything else. I don't think he's a bad pitcher. Just more on pitch count than anything.
And like you said, he isn't. We aren't getting a huge discount on him either. So that does make a difference too, for sure.
Yeah, it's like all these guys in this range kind of stink because none of them are going to pitch deep into the game. Hauser, Lambert, Winchowski, Brown. Kind of why I think Rodon is going to get ownership, and I can't wait to stack against him and get like a 0 for 21 day complete game, perfect game. Any interest in the Giants bats here?
Not a ton. I really don't. I mean, even on a small game slate, there's just a lot of other bats, I guess, that I'd have interest in. So I don't really have a lot of interest in the Giant bats.
I love playing them when they're outside of San Francisco. I'm going to have some ownership on Jung-Ho Lee, Soler, Chapman, Conforto. Estrada's hitting the ball really well to start the season. I think he leads the team in WOBA and ISO. Wade might have a higher WOBA, but I'm pretty sure Estrada has the best ISO against righties this season. So I'll have a little bit of exposure because, the Red Sox bullpen is kind of shaky. They can be really good at times and they can be shaky at times as well. So it depends on kind of what arms they're going to use today. Their whip is pretty close to average. Their xERA for the bullpen and stuff is like right around like 13, 14. So like, I just don't expect him to pitch deep. For his purposes, Soler's a fly ball guy facing a ground ball guy. So I think this is definitely one of those guys you want to have on your list today, even if you don't like the Giants as a whole. Red Sox bats? We didn't talk about the Red Sox bats. We didn't talk about
them, no.
Any interest in them here?
Yeah, we kind of talked about, some of the left-handed bats depend on who's in the lineup. And of course, that's a tougher matchup for them. So again, 5-game slate, I think anybody you can kind of get to. So yeah, I could see getting to, as much as I like Harrison and we'll be utilizing him in the pitching pool, I definitely think you can get to some Red Sox bats too on the other side.
Yeezy in chat says, I don't see myself punting at starting pitcher. It's a pay up for starting pitcher slate. I am not against playing like a 20 entry max and just locking Eovaldi and Cabrera in. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's a terrible strategy when
Yeah.
looking at the other 8 pitchers on this slate. Because,
That's
like,
just it. It's not good.
yeah, 4 of them not going to pitch deep. Bradish is a question mark how deep he's going to pitch. So, like, 5 pitchers
Yep.
might not throw over 80 pitches. Like,
Yep.
all right. So I don't hate that idea. I do like Tyler O'Neill a lot in this spot.
He's always
And
great at.
I love playing Connor Wong. I don't know what he's done or
I
what he's
know.
doing. He's
That's
just hitting. He just goes out every day and hits. He just goes hits. Hey, what are you doing today, Connor Wong? I'm going to go hit. And I get 2 hits. And it's phenomenal because he's not getting priced up. And I don't think Connor Wong is like this excellent hitter, but I love what he's doing this year. So I don't mind him. Tyler O'Neill has big power against left-handed pitching. Like him a lot.
Yes.
In this spot. Ref Snyder should be in there, and he's cheap, so don't hate that. I think that's it. Garrett Cooper is banged up. If he's back in the lineup here, you could take some shots on Garrett Cooper against the lefty. He's been dealing with like a wrist injury, so I mean, he might not be the best play anyway with the wrist injury. So Red Sox are dealing with a ton of injuries. Just a ton of injuries. I mean, they signed Dominic Smith off the streets because they didn't have anybody to play first base. So they called me. I was available, but I couldn't fly out. Yeah, couldn't fly out. I never played first base. That's one of the positions I never played. I played center field. I played shortstop. I never played first base. You would think because I'm tall. Center field. I mean, pitcher in center field. When I was like in shape and not fat and slow, I used to run a 4.40. So I played center field a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
fun fact.
Those were the days. Fun fact. Yeah. Now I'm fat, tired, and I walked like 5 miles today and I'm exhausted. And I'm like, I used to run like 10 miles a day and it would be nothing. And like, oh, take me back. All right, we finished out the slate with Washington at Texas. By far the most tilting game on Wednesday night for me. I had a ton of Texas bats.
I did too.
Didn't work out. 8.5 total in this game. Texas is a 210 favorite. We got Mitchell Parker against Nathan Eovaldi. Any interest here in Mitchell Parker?
Not as much. I kind of like going back to the Texas bats, especially coming off of what they did tonight. So not as much. More interest in Eovaldi. Like we mentioned, I think he's going to be one of the top pitchers on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, you are worried a little bit about the left-handed matchup, but they have enough right-handed bats now. I feel like they're going to give Mitchell Parker a little bit of a fit here.
They do.
Mitchell Parker might actually be good for what it's worth. Like, it's still yet to be determined. We'll see how he kind of works out here. Like, he's not a huge prospect. He's tall and he uses it to his advantage. And like his fastball, curveball, slider, changeup combo are like all average pitches and it's working. But overall, I don't know if like 91 to 95 is enough, even at like 6'4" and having like that reach. But I think this is a spot I'll pass on Mitchell Parker. They have too many good righties. Simeon, Garcia, Langford, Heim. Yep. I mean, I could keep going. So
I completely agree.
Nathan Eovaldi, it's just like I'm just playing him. Like, I don't care. I mean, like you're just playing the talent. You're a little worried about the strikeouts for Washington, but I don't think it matters today. Again, I think you build around Eovaldi and Cabrera, like I said when we were talking about Cabrera, and be done with it.
Yep, I agree. 2 top pitchers on the slate for sure.
Well, it's also like we don't have Atlanta, we don't have Houston, we don't have the Dodgers, we don't have that like overly expensive offense to have to pay up for on this slate. Like Texas is going to be popular, but they have enough cheap bats to make it work. Like Langford's 3,900, so Wenzel is 2,200 still, and like they have enough cheap bats, so you could do it. Let's talk bats. Any interest in the Washington bats against Eovaldi?
No, I don't. It is interesting. I mean, I've played Washington a little bit more this year than I have in past, just because
Oh
they
yeah,
have,
I love playing them. Like
yeah,
their
yeah,
stolen
well,
base upside and their
stolen
home
base
run
upside.
upside.
I
Like
was just
yeah,
gonna say the stolen base upside alone with them is just absolutely elite. So, but in this matchup, not as much. Again, more interest on the Texas side for me.
I will say Eovaldi's someone you can steal off of. Like this is a good spot. Like if you're not like okay, so like say you're playing 75% Eovaldi, then I completely understand doing that. Like I
Yep.
wouldn't mind like having 15% non-Eovaldi teams have some Washington bats. I don't know if I'd full stack them, but I think like Abrams, Winker. I love playing Jacob Young. I talk about him all the time. The dude just runs.
Yep.
He got thrown out. I was shocked. He got thrown out. Finally, got thrown out in Wednesday night's game. But yeah, I mean, overall, they're not expensive. Eovaldi's going to be chalky as he should. He's good chalk. He's not bad chalk. And on a 5-game slate, like if you want to play like Abrams against Eovaldi, I don't hate it. Because Eovaldi's going to be so popular and people are going to limit like building on lineup HQ. They're going to be like, hey, I don't want any of my hitters against my pitchers, but I can see Abrams scoring 25 and Eovaldi scoring 25. So I don't hate that on a smaller slate like this. 13-game slates, I never do that, but 5-game
Right.
slates,
Right.
chalky pitchers. But yeah, I mean, Abrams, Winker, Jacob Young, I mean, just a punt play that runs. Like he gets on base and he runs. That's what he does. I hope that answers your question, Michael, because you kind of asked if they were a good leverage stack. I don't hate the full stack, but I would definitely play them more as a mini stack. Texas bats go right back to the well. I
Yeah.
know they
Right.
burned me. They burned everybody.
Yep.
Okay, it happens. It's baseball. The best hitter in baseball against the worst hitter, and best hitter in baseball and against the worst pitcher is going to fail
Yep.
at every once in a while. Like it's going to happen. And like remember in the back of your head, to be a Hall of Famer in baseball, you only have to be successful 1 out of 3 times.
Yes.
So just think about that. It's hard not to love Texas in this spot. I think you just kind of load up on them against this young pitcher. He's still kind of unproven. And like I said, he's not like this huge prospect. Some of his advanced stats definitely suggest some regression. So I'm loading up on Texas again.
Yep. Yep. I am too. And I do like it actually that, them not doing very well, performing very well tonight and going right back to them tonight. Cause I think they can, put up some big runs here. So I have interest in the whole lineup. They do just from top to bottom. So definitely interest in Texas.
My bankroll doesn't like it because they were
No,
so
I
bad,
know.
but we'll see. All right, let's play the morning grind game, and then we're gonna get out of here. Under 8K on DraftKings to get 6 or more strikeouts. Tough question, but hey, it's part of the game. What do you got for us?
It is. I think I'm going to, and we've kind of talked about kind of both sides with this, but I think I'm gonna go Carlos Rodon.
He's the answer. I mean, he's the right answer.
I mean, yeah,
I mean, I don't think anybody else even has a chance. If I had to take anybody, it'd probably be Ben Brown,
that'd be probably the next one. Yep.
or actually, like, it'd probably be Peter Lambert against the Marlins. Needless
Yeah.
to say, don't play these guys. Over 8K to score under 15. There's only 5 options. Who's your bust out of these guys?
I am going to go with Parker, actually. Mitchell Parker.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the right answer. I'm gonna say, I think I'm gonna say Bradish, just because I don't know if he'll be sharp in his first
Thought
start.
about him too. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he's a good one too.
it's tough. It's definitely tough in these kind of scenarios, but yeah, I'm gonna go Bradish. Over 4K to hit a home run. Who's going yard today?
Over 4K to hit a home run. I am going with yeah, I'd actually looked at a couple of these Cubs bats. I'm gonna actually go Christopher Morel.
Okay. I'm gonna kind of go to the top today and say Adalis Garcia goes yard, hits
I
number
love
9
that
on the
call a lot.
season.
Yep.
So, under 4K to get 2 hits. Who's a cheap bet that you like here?
Cheap bet for me. I think I'm going to go. Oh. I think I'm going to go back into the Cubs game. Mike Tauchman.
Yeah, I like him a lot. He's been hitting up towards the top of the order too, which
Yes.
definitely helps. I'm gonna kind of go a little off the board today and say Connor Wong.
Oh yeah, that's I do like that. Yeah, you're
He
right. He's
just
been playing
keeps
so
hitting.
well. He does.
Yeah.
He does.
It's
Yeah,
so
he's so
weird.
cheap too.
Yeah, Connor Wong. Who had Connor Wong hitting 340 a month into the season? I didn't.
No.
Stack to score 6 or more runs. Who do you got?
I'll just stick with my theme because I obviously like the Cubs quite a bit too. I just think they do. They're cheap. I think they're in a great position against Hauser. So go in the Cubs.
I'm gonna go Texas. I know, hot
Texas,
take.
great play.
Sorry, hot take. I do, however, like part of me really likes the Giants today, and I hate to say that, but I mean, they're gonna get a semi bullpen game here from the Red Sox, so part of me likes them. Any pick and plays or player props that you like today?
I haven't even had a chance to look at those yet. I'm so interested to see if you've got any. I haven't pulled that up yet.
I do have one that I like. There's not a lot up yet, just in general, but I do like Edward Cabrera over 6.5 strikeouts. I know this line seems kind of high for Edward Cabrera, but he's hit this in 2 of 3 starts. The one start he didn't was against Washington. He gets one of the highest strikeout teams in baseball in this matchup at home as well. So we know how bad the Rockies are just in general, and the fact that they're one of the worst teams on the road, and they're in one of the best pitchers ballparks in baseball too. Just a fantastic spot for Cabrera. So over 6.5 strikeouts for him, and just kind of attacking this really high strikeout rate. I think it's at 27.4. Yeah, they're 4th highest in baseball against right-handed pitching.
I like that.
And then any lines jumping off the board to you here?
Let's see. Yeah, I haven't really looked at that side of it yet, Stevie. So
No, completely understand. I'd rather you say that than give out something you don't like. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I haven't had a chance to see if there's anything that really stands out. Just kind of looking at that.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
No, I'm in the same one I already mentioned. I like the Cubs money line here. I think that it's silly that Adrian Hauser is favored in this game.
That's just it. That is a head scratcher. It really is.
Yeah, you can get them. I know ESPN Bet has the Cubs at even money, and there's 3 or 4 books that have them at minus 105. So I'm gonna go with the Cubbies. I mean, I just don't believe in Adrian Hauser, and Ben Brown is an okay pitcher. Ben Brown's an okay pitcher. Adrian Hauser isn't.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Anyway, Adrian Hauser is one of the first guys to go when the Mets starting lineup, starting rotation, starts to get healthy. Hauser is gonna get DFA'd 100%. I'm not even
he has to. Yeah.
Yeah, not even remotely thinking twice about it. He's gonna be a guy that's gone. The Mets are just dealing with a ton of injuries. McGill's hurt, Peterson's hurt, Singa's hurt. Obviously, DeGrom would be back towards the end of the year. Scherzer, they're just dealing with a ton of injuries. So,
absolutely.
Chrissy, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, interesting little 5 games.
I said DeGrom. DeGrom's with Texas, and Scherzer might be with Texas too. Why was I thinking Texas? Sorry.
No,
I'll see myself out.
See yourself out. Exactly.
Yeah. Texas got the leftover injuries from the Mets, old staff with DeGrom and Scherzer, but the Mets are still dealing with a ton of pitching injuries too.
Yes, they are. No, it should be an interesting little slate for us for sure, Stevie, for just a 5-game early slate. So yeah, no, should be a good one for tomorrow.
All right, that's going to wrap it up here for Thursday. We're back Friday talking baseball. Appreciate everyone hanging out with us. We'll be back tomorrow. Good luck, and we'll see you then.